This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The President says gems and jewellery industry spurs impressive export revenue. The Irrigation Department says the Udawalawe Reservoir has only 5,000 acre-feet of water. The National Housing Development Authority and Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment launched a project to construct houses for Sri Lankan nationals working abroad. The PHI warned that the prevailing dry condition helped to spread rat fever. State Minister says ideal time for investors to benefit from Sri Lanka's future strategy. News overseas, Moi fire 93 killed as governor warns of a significant death toll rise. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe urged officials to swiftly provide comprehensive plans for achieving the country's objective of bolstering annual export earnings through enhancements in gem and jewellery export and re-exports. During a recent discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat to address issues in the gem and jewellery industry, the President highlighted the importance of promptly addressing challenges in the gem and jewellery sector to boost the country's revenue from exports. He stressed that progress toward this year's target growth in the industry has not met expectations compared to the previous year. As a result, he emphasized the necessity of implementing a well-structured strategy aimed at attaining an annual export revenue of at least $2 billion. Furthermore, the President revealed that recommendations pertaining to tax policies for the advancement of the gem and jewellery sector were submitted to him by the Sectoral Monitoring Committee on Environment, Natural Resources and Sustainable Development. Deliberations were extended to discussions on taxes impacting the industry as well as the export and re-export procedures. Pertinent stakeholders also shared insights with the President regarding the challenges that have risen within the sector. The Irrigation Department says that the Udawalawe Reservoir, that has a total capacity of 217,800 acre-feet, only had 5,000 acre-feet of water by this morning. The Irrigation Department said during the farming season, about 32,000 acre-feet of water are usually released for agriculture. Meanwhile, the Mahaweli Authority says the Udawalawe Reservoir has noted the lowest water level recorded for the past 20 years. The authority said the water remaining in the reservoir is enough only for 3 days to provide irrigation water. The authority added that 800 hectares of paddy land irrigated by the Udawalawe Reservoir had been destroyed due to the prevailing drought condition. The Movement for Land and Agriculture Reform, however, said that the officials were making statements on damage to agriculture based on mere conjecture. Meanwhile, 2,300 acre-feet of water has been released from the Samanelawewa Reservoir to Udawalawe Reservoir yesterday as a remedial measure. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
The National Housing Development Authority has launched a project together with the Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment to construct houses for the Sri Lankan nationals working abroad. The National Housing Development Authority has reported that these constructions will be built either on a property owned by the migrant worker, or the house will be built on a piece of land owned by the state outside of urban areas, while the third option is the establishment of an apartment complex. A joint proposal is due to be presented before the Cabinet by the Minister of Urban Development and Housing Prasanna Ranatunga and Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manisha Nanekar. Measures related to the project are already underway and over 1,000 applications being received by the Foreign Employment Bureau, Minister added. The Public Health Inspectors Union PHI warned that the prevailing dry condition helped to spread rat fever leptospirosis. The PHI union says the public should be alerted over the issue and prevent catching rat fever. The union said the disease is mainly spread by the rats whose urine infected with the leptospira bacterium contaminates paddy fields, irrigation canals and drains. The union said if anyone who has even a small cut or a wound on the legs or even cracked heels comes into contact with this water, he or she can get infected. Chairman of the PHI union, Upul Rohana, said the people engaged in the land fishing are more vulnerable, or is one of the vulnerable group to quote the illness. He added that it will also be spread in muddy and marshy grounds. State Minister of Finance Shan Semasinga says the key pillars to Sri Lanka's future strategy are to implement a digital, green and highly competitive sustainable economic policy. Addressing the Invest Sri Lanka Forum in Mumbai, India on Friday, State Minister also stated that both the government's commitment and the public's assistance in creating the environment necessity for this remain vital to the country's future strategy. Speaking with regards to potential investors, the State Minister said as Sri Lanka positions itself to embark on rapid economic recovery followed by sustainable, equitable growth, he added that this is an ideal time for investors to position themselves to benefit from this opportunity. And that's local news.
Elevate your life with People's Bank Excelsior. A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, has issued a direct order to the chairman of the Sri Lanka Transport Board to immediately halt the operations of SLTB Flying Squad. The minister has mandated the chairman to initiate the setting up of a new flying squad within the week. He said that the new flying squad must be given broader powers and that it should ensure a smooth running state-run bus service that is free of corruption by conducting efficient security checks on ticket dispensing in buses. Monitoring the SLTB crews and checking security in bus depots and stands, the step was prompted by Minister's recent revelation that the SLTB has been incurring losses ranging from 2 million to 3 million rupees daily owing to proliferation of ticket fraud and other illicit activities within provincial long-distance bus services. And that was top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
Fact Crescendo Sri Lanka reported misleading social media posts have been published claiming that the GCE advanced level examination results have been released. And checking the website, according to Fact Crescendo Sri Lanka, the Commissioner General of Examinations Amit Jayasundara has confirmed that the results have not been released yet. The fact-checking website further stated that the Jayasundara revealed that they expect to release the GCE advanced level examination results by the end of August. And that was Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
Moving on to world news headlines. Moi fire, 93 killed as governor warns of a significant death toll rise. Typhoon Lan is moving north in Pacific Ocean over the waters near Japan's Ogasawara Islands. Afghan university is ready to readmit women, but not until Taliban leader says it's okay. So those are the headlines of the world news. 93 people have been confirmed killed in the Moi fire that razed the historic town of Lahaina, marking the most deadly U.S. fire in the century. The number of victims could rise significantly, Hawaii Governor Josh Green warned on Saturday as forensic work continues to identify the victims. Hundreds remain unaccounted for while hundreds of others fill shelters across Maui after fleeing the flames. The fire will certainly be the worst natural disaster that Hawaii ever faced, he said. Typhoon Lan is moving north in the Pacific Ocean over waters near Japan's Ogasawara Islands. The typhoon is expected to make landfall between the Tokai region in central Japan and the Shikoku region in western Japan on Tuesday. Lan is still far from the Japanese main island of Onsu, but rough seas are already forecast for the Pacific coast between the Kanto region, including Tokyo in eastern Japan, and the Kansai region in western Japan. The Taliban barred women from campuses last December, triggering global outrage. Girls had been barred from school beyond 6th grade soon after the Taliban returned to power in August 2021. Afghanistan is the only country in the world with bans on female education. Afghanistan's Higher Education Minister Nida Mohammad Nadim said at the time of a university ban was necessary to prevent the mixing of genders and because he believed some subjects being taught violated the principles of Islam. He said the ban issued from the southern city of Kandahar by the Taliban leader Hibatullah was in place until further notice. And that's World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities from Deshak Sri Lanka in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, including company housemaid, salary 156,000 rupees, 23 to 57 years. Contact 037 7500 500.
Minister of Wildlife and Forest Resources Conservation Pavitra Vaniarachi told Parliament that it should take around 1 month more to come up with a permanent solution for the elephant-human conflict that resulted in deaths and losses. Responding to a question raised by SLBC MP Jagat Kumar on Thursday, the minister said the mega development projects and rapidly increasing people's settlements have resulted in the loss of habitat for elephants. She said that the government has planned to come up with short-term, middle-term and long-term solutions for this multidimensional crisis. And that was Development News.
Job opportunities for women from Deshak Sri Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Company housemaids, caretakers and home cooks in Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can now travel overseas free of charge. Branches Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500. Deshak Sri Lanka Foreign Development Agency.
In sports, Women's World Cup soccer, England have answered every challenge they have faced at the Women's World Cup, but it will be nothing compared to what is likely to await them in the semi-finals. Having seen off the tenacity and unpredictable skill of Colombia in the 2-1 quarter-final win, England had to come from behind on Saturday, the first team in the knockout stage of this year's competition to win despite conceding first, and did so in front of the crowd of 75,784 fans, the majority of whom were vociferously backing Colombia. England beat Nigeria in a penalty shootout in last 16, then dealt with the first game of a 2-match suspension for top scorer Lauren James. And that was Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Chamber of Mineral Exporters was officially launched recently as a collaborative initiative comprising prominent companies in Sri Lanka. The Executive Committee of CME comprises Mr. Amila Jayasinghe, Chairman, Director, Bogala Graphite Lanka PLC, Mr. AFM Farooq, Vice Chairman, C Quartz MBI Private Limited, Dr. Sandun Dalpatu, Secretary, Director, Damsila Resources Private Limited, and several other prominent figures in the trade. The Chamber of Mineral Exporters Chairman Amil Jayasinghe said the chamber aims to utilize Sri Lanka's mineral resources for economic growth. And that's business news.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manisha Nanekara says that Sri Lanka has recorded a workers' remittance of $541 million in July 2023, taking to the minister stated that the workers' remittances recorded for July mark a 78% surge compared to last year. According to data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, a total of $476 million was recorded in workers' remittances in June 2023, while $480 million was recorded in May 2023 and $454 million in April. And moving on to weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in western Samprakama provinces and in Galle, Matra, Kandy and Nuwara districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in eastern, Uva and northern provinces during the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President says, gems and jewellery industry spurs impressive export revenue. The Irrigation Department says the Udawalawe Reservoir has only 5,000 acre-feet of water. The National Housing Development Authority and Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment launched a project to construct houses for Sri Lankan nationals working abroad. The PHI warned that the prevailing dry condition helped to spread rat fever. State Minister says ideal time for investors to benefit from Sri Lanka's future strategy. And with that, we conclude this evening news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.